Hi everybody, and welcome to our show. This is From This Corner TV, and I'm your host Marilyn Dayton. And we've got quite an interesting show for you today. A couple of ladies that are very sharp, entrepreneurial ladies, just like me. So, first of all, we have Lesley Ingves from Clear Pathways, and then we have Terrlyn Avery.
Yes.
Do I have to say the L part in there?
You don't have to for the show, but
Oh, okay.
you can just say Curry Avery. That'd be great.
Curry Avery, okay. That's Terrlyn, and she is from Sacred Intelligence. And I was just on her show recently.
Yes.
How fun is
We
that?
had fun, yes.
We did. We had a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun today because, you know, there's a lot of information that these two wonderful people have to offer. But what I kind of did was I kind of put it together in a focus, and I called it, what did I call it? Where is my focus? Facing Your True Self and Becoming an Independent Businesswoman. I mean, that kind of is a general, wide focus, which means that we'll have a lot of things that we can talk about.
Plenty of opportunity.
A lot of opportunity. I'm so glad you guys are here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to ask you each to give us your elevator speech. So that kind of tells everybody, you know, who you are and what you do, kind of in a nutshell. And then we'll do details, okay? Who'd like to be first?
Why don't you go first?
I'm perfectly happy to. I'm Lesley Ingves, the CEO of Clear Pathway, and I help entrepreneurs to overcome office overwhelm. I do this by helping them to develop systems and procedures in their office that supports their client and customer work.
Wonderful. Okay, we're going to explain a lot of that very soon. Okay, Terrlyn.
I'm Terrlyn Curry Avery, as she said, and I am the owner of Sacred Intelligence, and I help people learn how to maximize their sacred intelligence, which is really tapping into their internal divine source in order to make intelligent choices, because a lot of times we get into some of the issues that we're in because we don't make good choices. And to explain it just a little bit further, I'm a licensed psychologist and an ordained minister, so I merge those two things to help people reach their fullest potential.
So you kind of got it all covered, don't you?
I got it all covered. So whatever healing people need, all they got to do is come to me.
That's right.
There. Yeah.
That's right. It's, you know, and it's amazing to me when I think about that. When we were talking on your show, we were talking about starting over, which is a wonderful topic.
Yes.
And I've done it so many times in my life, but we focused in on one particular one where personally and professionally I was basically ruined. And it's really tough to come back from that because you search for yourself, and you're going kind of inside to say, who am I? How can I recover? And man, did I screw up bad, you know, and now I've got to kind of climb out of this, and it's a long way up. But you have to, you really, really have to go into your heart and soul.
Yes.
And you can't do it alone.
Yes.
Okay? You cannot do it alone.
That's right.
That's and then you need someone like her, and it's a wonderful thing.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
So let's talk about Systemizer. Okay, I saw you call yourself a business systemizer.
Right.
Okay.
This came about, I work with a coach also, and one of the primary things that we were looking to focus on was to build a niche so that I can really focus on one thing that I'm serving my clients, and it has to be what's natural to me, so that I'm using my best traits and giving them the best of me so that they can build their businesses faster and grow. I just naturally am an organized person. I look at everything as a system. I look at going to the grocery store is a system. You grab your cart, you go and you get your groceries, you know to come to the front, to put them on the belt and pay the cashier. That's a system, even though many people don't think of it that way. So entrepreneurs are often focused on revenue generating work, of course, working with their clients and customers, and they forget that they need support systems in the office. And that's where I come in to help them in building that so that the office will function more smoothly, and it reduces a lot of overwhelm and stress.
Well, business owners, and the three of us are business owners, we have to do so much stuff. You know, I mean, you got to do everything, especially if you are a 1 to 5 person office. I mean, you got to clean the toilets, you got to make the coffee, you got to do everything.
That is so true.
Yes, even when I had a big ad agency with a lot of people, we still took turns cleaning the bathroom. You know what? Because we were all vested in that business. But you have to have a system. And sometimes you're so close to it, and you're so overwhelmed, and you're like going in so many different directions. It's like, oh my God, did I pay the bills this month? Or, oh my God, did I follow up with that client? And how am I going to? Yeah,
Exactly.
So we all need a system.
And I think it's really great in terms of us as women having that system too, because not only are we managing business, but then we've got to go home and manage home as well. Not that husbands aren't helpful, because they are, but we're still managing so many things. And so it's important that at work we have someone who's helping us to kind of think through what to do, so we don't have to think of everything ourselves, right? And so that's
And that's the key, is the system. Just like going into the grocery store, you don't think of this, you just go and you do. And so when you get your systems in place in your business, and then you have to work with them a little bit to make sure that it's really going to work properly for you, but then it's rinse and repeat. And after a while, it's just, you don't even think of it. It's just something that you do. But it makes everything else easier, because now you're not spending your time thinking about it and having to take that energy and that thought process away from something else that really does need your focus.
Well, sometimes we're so busy doing stuff that we're running around in circles. We're wasting time, we're wasting energy, and you know what? We're wasting money because we have value, okay? We charge our clients for our time and our work, and we have to remember that we have value when it comes to doing our paperwork, everything else. So if we have a system and we're saving time and energy, we're saving money.
Absolutely.
So if you are overwhelmed in your business, you need to talk to Lesley, okay? Because she will help you not only become organized, she will save you money. And that, I think, is sometimes what gets people's attention, right? If you say, well, you know, how would you like it if I could save you, if I could save you a third of what you are expending in time, energy, and money? I mean, that's considerable. It really is.
Well, it's true when you say time is money, especially for service-based entrepreneurs. So if I'm saving them time, it's saving money, and then they can take that time and turn it over and start doing revenue-generating work. So now they're making more money also.
Now, you said service businesses, but you can also help other businesses too, correct?
Oh, absolutely, and I have
For
various
instance,
I have worked with in construction for quite a number of years, and building the systems there are just as necessary as anything else. A lot of construction companies are very good at doing what they do in the field, but a lot of the paperwork starts to slip through. And when it comes to tracking things such as change orders, getting requisitions out for payment on time, if that's not done, if you don't have the money coming in, it obviously causes more problems with that too.
I would think so, yeah. Now, didn't I also read on your website that your time in construction helped you relate to, you know, building construction is like building a business, correct? Or
Absolutely.
building a business is like building construction, however you want to look at it.
You're building all that at least.
Yeah, but you relate it to basics, right?
Right. The foundation has to be there to support the walls before you put the roof on or anything. And there is a definite way that things are constructed. In construction, they follow 16 divisions, and that flows from doing the groundwork, from site work, all the way through to the mechanical and electrical work. And everybody knows where to look for the information of what they have to put into these buildings. And it follows the flow of what needs to be put in first, and keep it going. Same way in a small business. There's really no sense in going out and spending lots of money on, say, a big elaborate computer system if what you really need is to be spending your time and your money out getting clients. There's a process, and it will progress so that then you can start investing more in the fancy computers or whatever else that you need in your business.
You're making so much sense. I'm sitting here going, yeah. Okay then. Uh-huh.
But you know, I'm a big Lesley advocate because Lesley is my coach. So I can't say enough about Lesley because it's not just organization, you know, coming in and helping you organize your files or making your system run because you need to just do things a little bit more smoothly to the day-to-day, but really helping you to think through what's your next step in your business. You know, what do you need to spend money on? What don't you need to spend money on? How are you going to generate money? Lesley is an awesome listener. She actually gave me the name Sacred Intelligence. That's how awesome she is because, and you know, I give her credit for that because when Lesley and I began working together, and so this is the funny thing, when Lesley and I began, we met each other in a networking group. And I don't even know what I asked Lesley. Some benign question, just asking. She says, well, why don't you let me meet with you? Now, she was introduced as a life coach. I'm a psychologist, so I was thinking, I don't need a life coach. I already know what I need to do. I may not be doing it. I don't know. I don't know if I'm doing it or not, but I don't need a life coach. But, you know, I said, okay, you can meet with me, but still thinking, what is she going to talk to me about? Best decision. Because at the time, and I know you haven't really gotten it to me, but, you know, but at the time, I think I had just finished divinity school, and I was doing a private practice. It wasn't my own at the time. I mean, well, I worked with someone else because I had left my private practice to go back to school, so then I joined somebody else, and then, you know, it wasn't working. But anyway, I said to Lesley, I've just finished divinity school, so I want to merge the psychology and the theology because that's who I am. I'm both those things. I'm always a psychologist and always, you know, this person who really, really loves, you know, God. And so Lesley listened to me, and we were thinking, well, what are we going to name your practice? I mean, it could have been just, you know, Dr. Terrlyn Curry Avery.
Yeah.
But Lesley came back to me with 3 names. And the very first name was Sacred Intelligence, and I loved it because she just really merged those 2 things. And so I really find her to be a very, very good listener who will just really think about what you've asked her to think about, and then some things that you don't ask her to think about. She thinks about those as well, and will challenge you on those things. So she's a business systemizer, but I think so much more than just helping you to really, and she knows how much I love the work that we do. I mean, we're just, we're 2 peas in a pod now, so.
Yes,
Yeah.
I could tell.
Yeah. You can tell I like her a little bit?
A little bit,
Okay.
yes, just a little bit. And of course, I've known you for a while too.
Right.
And every time I've had an occasion to talk with you about anything, and we were doing a
Mastermind group.
mastermind group
together.
And I'd walk away from there and I'd go, God, she's so smart. She just gets it, you know? It's kind of like, once again, listening. And then everything's turning in there. And mixing and working. And then she comes out with something and you go, oh my God, that's it.
Yeah.
Whoa, how'd you do that? I don't know, she says. You know, but it just works.
comes out that way.
It does.
Yeah.
And it's
She's
just,
good at reading people too.
Yeah.
Very good at
Yeah.
reading people.
I know she was saying for a while that you and I had to meet, right? And of course she was very right, of course. And when we finally did meet, we're sitting there talking and laughing, and it was just so natural, and just so, okay, well, here we go. This is working really well. And it was just a good, what I call currents in time, where two paths cross. And sometimes you don't know exactly where it's going. Sometimes it could be years later that you that it works for you, that crossing those paths actually comes into play in your life and helps you. And it's amazing, you know, it's kind of like, I almost thought to myself, I wish I'd met you before, but maybe it wasn't the right time.
I think everything has its timing.
Everything has its time, absolutely.
I mean, I'm doing a TV show now. It's a good time to meet you.
I
Before
know.
that, I wasn't. Not that I wouldn't have liked you anyway, but I'm just saying. But it's just a perfect time for everything to kind of fall into
It
place.
really
And I
is.
think that people have to be ready for that next step. You don't meet a person like Lesley or me or you for that matter, and if you are not ready, it's like when people come to me for therapy, you've got to be ready to do the work, or what's the point? So it just, we met when we
Exactly.
needed to meet.
And it was, to me, it was kind of magical. Okay, and I thank you for that.
Oh, you are most welcome. I
And
love
it-
creating magic.
Yes, and you do it so well and
Thank
so
you.
often.
Thank you.
And so we did the show together, you know, was it last week? I don't know, what day is this?
It was last week.
Last
It's
week.
airing tonight at 6 o'clock. We go opposite of each other. So.
Yes,
well, I'm
actu-
saying that, and
Yeah.
you're taping for next week.
Well, see, here's the thing.
Yeah, explain.
This particular show is on Comcast and Metrocast. And your show is on Metrocast at the moment until you get a slot here. And they were so kind over there and let us take turns.
Yes.
So that I'm on one week and at one particular time, which is on Thursdays from 6 to 7. And then she's on the next week, Thursday, 6 to 7.
Yes.
And it's just so cool. It's just, it's
just
so
worked out.
great. It did. It worked out. It was meant to be. It was meant to
More
be.
magic.
More magic. Oh my God. I almost can't take it. So here we are. We're talking about how these two wonderful ladies offer their help to people, and they do it very, very well. And we're going to talk more about that. But we're going to take a break in about 5 minutes, Frank. Okay? So before we do take a break, sacred intelligence. Okay, it's a wonderful phrase that you came up with. Describe to me again what that means, so that people, because you need to tell them, then you need to tell them, then you need to tell them. So please.
Because
tell
it's
us
an
again.
unfamiliar term, and,
It is.
and you're
It is. It's
absolutely
very
right.
unique.
And so my belief is that the divine lives in all of us, and that if we tap into that divineness that's inside of us, that we can make better choices. We will be careful about how we allow other people to treat us. We will be careful about how we treat other people, and we will be careful about how we treat ourselves. So with sacred intelligence, what we do is just try to help you learn how to make better choices by knowing who you are and who you were created to be. We really are very much interested in your relationships, so my focus is on helping you to deepen your relationship with the sacred, deepen your relationship with yourself, and to deepen your relationship with other folks. And so it's a lot of work. A lot of work to dig in there. But what's really good about where my focus is turning now, because for years I've done work with adolescents, with women, with families, with couples, I am really starting to focus my work with women a lot, because I find that if we as women can heal, then we can also help others to heal, because we're nurturers. So it's a little bit easier if we can do it, and then we can help our children as well. But I'm also beginning to focus my niche a little bit on working with people who really want to tap into their sacredness, who want to tap into their relationship with the sacred. I get so excited when I can merge those two things. I don't proselytize to people when they come to my office, but I'm so excited when I know that they have an understanding of who the sacred is, and because it's me, it's who I was when I came out of the womb. So it's just merging together and those two things. So I'm tickled pink. You just can't see it.
Well, you know, we can tell. We can tell. So that's what sacred intelligence is, and it's a wonderful phrase. You know, it really, really is. Well done. Okay. Now, before we take a break, clear pathways. Okay. Why did you name your business Clear Pathways? What does that mean?
I had been playing around with the term functionality, and it just seemed so, I don't know, it just talked specifically to that function. But there is so much more, because as Terrlyn said, I delve into a lot deeper things that are going on in business, and I like to always look at how everything fits into someone's big plan. So it's looking at the big picture down to the details and back and forth. So Clear Pathway was having that clarity of the vision, and then what is the pathway to get there? And that's how that came together.
Now, the word clear itself, C-L-E-A-R, means something.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, I turned that into an acronym for a 5-step method that I often utilize in working with clients. C being to clarify their vision, clarify what they want to do, and clarify where they are at the present moment. Then the L is to leverage that information. And that may mean leveraging with resources of, it may be monetary resources, it may be people that you know. There's a lot of different resources that can be brought in to help leverage in getting that pathway to where you want to be. Establishing a plan. I don't work anything without a plan. Then taking action. A lot of people have dreams and have plans, but unless they act upon them, they're not going to get anywhere. And then R stands for rewarding yourself. We don't take enough time to stop and acknowledge our successes and take the time to pat ourselves on the back. So rewards are very important too.
Indeed, they are. Very well done.
Thank you.
See how good she is. Gosh, people. Both of these ladies they amaze me constantly. And we're going to amaze you a little bit more in a few minutes. We're going to take a little break right now, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes. So stay tuned.
Can you help me with this? My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
He helps me with homework.
That would be 3.6795.
Thanks.
Yep.
He helps me with my decision making.
I wouldn't use this one. Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
I'm learning so much.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Up, college is hard. Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education.
Right up here.
So every year I take promising high schoolers on a college tour
Lights there, darts there.
to show them that higher education means a brighter future. My name is Nnamdi Asamoah. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
You can be a reader, tutor, or mentor too. Take the pledge at liveunited.org/volunteer.
Do you wear this?
And welcome back. You never know what goes on for those couple of minutes as those PSAs are going. We ladies are chatting away here. So once again, I'm Marilyn Dayton, your host from This Corner TV, and we have two wonderful people. We have Lesley Ingves and Terrlyn Avery, and Dr. Avery, actually. And what we're going to talk about next is I'd like to hear from you the difference that you offer than someone else might that's doing this similar thing that you do.
Okay. I think that the real thing that sets me out is the fact that, as I spoke earlier, about creating the big plan, but also paying attention to the details and how they fit into that. Many of my clients have mentioned that they might have worked with, say, a professional organizer who helps to get things organized, but they're not able to take it that next step to stretch it further into how this is going to create function for getting to a bigger purpose or a bigger plan. So it's constantly the play back and forth of the two. You can't focus on the big picture too often and let the details go, and vice versa.
Exactly. Now, what kind of process do you go through with someone that comes to you and says, I have a business and I'm overwhelmed. Can you help me? What's the normal situation? What do you do?
Well, I definitely take the time, as Terrlyn was telling you when we first met, to sit down and learn about that, because there's so much more than just saying I have a business and I'm overwhelmed. So when someone does hire me, the first step is to sit down and spend time with a real strategic planning, which usually takes an hour or two. Actually, probably more, probably 2 to 3 hours, where we're really going over all the details that I can possibly glean from them. And in that conversation, I'm listening to hear what are the things that are the real pain points, what are the things that are really bothering them the most, because that's different for everyone. Some people it might be just timing and managing their calendar, but they're talking about the papers that's stacked up, but really it's the time that they need to manage. And so we need to focus on whatever the real issue is at the base of it, at the foundation part of it, as it were. Whereas someone else, it could be just they haven't set up a procedure for doing certain things. For instance, if a client calls them, they don't have a set procedure. Well, what happens? How are they followed up with? How is the information obtained from them? Where is it kept? All of those things. So it could be a little more pragmatic with some people, and other people it's dealing with habits and helping them to clarify what they're doing with that.
So it's a good thing you're a listener.
Yes, it helps a lot.
Because you really need to learn everything.
Yes.
About who they are, what they do, how they spend their time, what their goals are.
Absolutely.
That kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah. Because it all interacts, it all affects one another. The family life affects the business life affects the family life.
And there again, it just tells you people that we women, we do it all, okay? We have professional lives, we have personal lives. And you know what? We wear so many hats and we are multitasking so much all the time that it's amazing that we can get anything done sometimes. And something always comes up and we need to have a plan to then be able to compensate and shove something aside so we can take care of a situation. Right. You probably cover that too with people.
Oh, absolutely.
Plan B, plan C kind of thing.
Yeah, in having the plan, I always say, and as entrepreneurs, as you start getting out and meeting new people, opportunities open up. And it's very easy to get sidetracked. So I always teach my clients, the first thing is when the opportunity comes, ask yourself, how does that fit in getting me closer to meeting my goals? Because typically it's someone else's goals that they want you to join in with. And if you find that it's a detour and it's going to waste your resources of your time and your energy, then it's probably not for you. It's a good opportunity, but it's not the right one for you at this point in time.
And it's so hard for so many people to learn to say no. Okay, it's all right. That's okay, right. Because we can't do everything, although we try.
Right.
Yes. Now, if you get someone pretty much set up and business is running along, they're meeting their goals, that kind of thing, do you generally say, let's meet in 6 months and review and make sure everything is working well?
Well, typically I will only work with someone for a minimum of 3 months because it takes time to get everything into place. And then I do encourage that they have a tune-up later on. Some people want to take the coaching to a higher level, and now that the systems are working, they need the accountability and the sounding board, because I am focused specifically on their needs. And not everyone has someone that they can talk through different ideas and look at things, try to get a different perspective with. And that's the main thing that a coach does.
And you get to know these people very well.
Oh, yes.
So that when they do get their tune-up, they know from experience that you're going to be listening, and you're not going to be judging people. You're not a judge.
There's no
at
judgment.
all. Not at all.
No.
And I'm sure that they are comfortable. I know they're comfortable. You know, I mean, she's very comfortable, as you can tell. She may be kind of laid back and a little bit kind of very soft-spoken, but there's a real hot engine going on inside that girl.
I know when to crack the whip, too.
Oh, I bet you do. I bet you do. So let's talk with you a little bit now, okay? Now, initially, when someone says you're a theologist and you're a psychologist, and those two things probably work very well in the way you try to help people, is that what sets you, one of the things that sets you apart, do you think?
Other than being fabulous? Is that what's
Well, it just adds to being fabulous.
It actually, so if I could put on my serious face for a minute, it really is what sets me apart, and for a couple of reasons. Because what I do is different from just being a therapist, because I bring that aspect of theology in. It's different from being a Christian counselor, because lots of people refer to therapy, going to see someone who has that deep faith as Christian counseling. Completely different from that. First of all, I don't proselytize to anyone who comes in, but my main focus, I would say, if I'm thinking about 3 different groups of people that I work with, which are, I work with people who really don't have any relationship with the sacred. They can come in and we can start doing work, but I do ask questions about what's your relationship with the sacred, want to tap into that, want to teach people about loving who they are and who they were created to be in this divineness that they're in. I don't push it on them, but I really ask a lot of questions, getting to see where's your thinking with this. And my belief is, as long as we have that relationship with the sacred, then we can work on those other relationships. So again, people who don't have a relationship. I also work with people who are atheists. I just want to say that as well. I don't force anybody to do anything. If you come in and you say you don't have any belief, you don't have any belief. So, you know, we go ahead and we try to do work with that. But I work with people, the second group of people I would say that I work with are those people who come in with this deep, abiding relationship with the sacred, whatever it is they call their sacred. If they said, I rub 2 rocks together and that's my sacred, then what we do is look at, well, how is that working for you, and how is that relationship impacting your day to day? What I know best, though, and I will put this out, what I know best is Christianity, because I'm a Presbyterian minister. And so when people come in to meet with me, particularly people who come with that particular tradition, when they start to tell me about their behavior and their faith, I can go right back with them to say, yes, but it also says blah, 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 right? And I will also be able to say to folks, you know, there's some things that prayer is just not going to change. You have to do some work as well. I'm not saying that prayer doesn't work. I clearly believe that, but I also believe that we have to put work into it. So when you come to me, I'm going to challenge you on those things, as well as be able to offer you an understanding based on my learning and my just studying, offer you an understanding of how can we move through your relationship then with the sacred and help you strengthen your relationship with yourself and then with other people. Then there's a third group. And this certainly is not to bash any particular religion, there are people who have been deeply wounded by religion. They've been wounded because religion has told them that who and what they are is a sin. Sometimes they've been wounded because they start believing so much in the man or woman of God that they are following, that when those people abuse them, they are just following them blindly, and then they're so wounded, then they come in and they see me, and then we do work around that. And so that I have to be able to separate what is human being interfering and getting into stuff, and what really might the sacred be saying to you. So this is why I encourage people to develop that relationship with the sacred, because once you do, then you're in tune with the sacred, and you know, like, the sacred is speaking directly to you. I don't have to go to Lesley and say, I'm not judging anybody else's religion or faith, but I don't have to go to Lesley and say, Lesley, you know, I'm not really sure. I think the sacred is saying blah, blah, blah. It's not that we don't confirm. Sometimes the sacred uses other people to confirm, but I don't need to go to Lesley and just say, what is the sacred telling you to do with me? I can go myself to my sacred source and try to sit with that space and time. And then once I come to an understanding of what I believe my guidance is, then I might say, Lesley, this is what I heard. But what works most often is when someone like Lesley comes and says, Terrlyn, I was thinking blah, 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 blah. And it's right in line with what was said to me. I'll give you a prime example, if I may use a recent event that happened to me. So I pastor a church in New York until October 26th. So last Sunday, I had to give my farewell sermon. Very, very emotional. And Saturday night, I'm trying to think about, what am I going to say for my farewell sermon? I had been meditating on it all week. What am I going to do? Was kind of going through some other sermons where people had said goodbyes. None of it seemed to work for me, but there was one scripture that I pulled out. And I said, well, let me just put this over here. Want to use it somewhere. Called a friend of mine who has said goodbyes to a number of churches, and I was asking him, what are some things that you've done? And he says, well, you know, I don't really use scripture necessarily. He's Unitarian, so he doesn't really use scripture, but he said, there is one scripture, though, I was thinking about. Very same scripture that I had picked out.
Wow.
And when I got to church on Sunday, the third thing, I did the message that I was doing to them, and at the end, one of my parishioners who does the bulletin, she said, did you even notice the scripture that was on the bulletin? The very same scripture. She had no way of knowing, because I didn't know until Saturday night that I was going to really use that. And so that's how I see the sacred kind of working in conjunction and confirming things for us, so that you don't have to just necessarily having somebody to come to you and say, well, I was told to tell you X, Y, and Z. And, you know, because people will do that. They'll come to you and say, well, you know, God told me to tell you blah, blah, blah. And I always think, well, I wonder why God didn't tell me. Why did God tell you to pick you? And it doesn't mean that God doesn't speak to other people for us. Sure, I believe that. But I believe when we develop our own relationship with the sacred, we will be in tune to know what's right for us. And some people kind of call it, you know, your spidey senses, your intuition, whatever they want to call it. But for me, it's about that relationship.
Well, let's follow up on that and talk about change. Both of you have had changes over the last year or two. So tell us how you made some decisions to make changes yourself, and what are you going to be doing with that
those
decision?
changes? Well, some of it remains to be seen. I'll be honest with that. But I want to tell you, I've had a lot of changes, because really going to divinity school was a huge change for me. I thought that when I got my PhD, I was done, because quite frankly, I love the intellectual piece, but I was sick of school. I didn't want to write any more papers. I didn't want to do any of that. But I felt called to do the work that I'm doing. I felt like I was already called as a psychologist, but I felt that there was a need for me to do ministry. And because of who I am, being an intellectual person, doing the Master's of Divinity was just sort of the next step. I felt like that was my urging. And once I did that, when I finished school, it was about, well, what's going to happen now? Because I was always thinking I'm just going to work with women, going to do a women's ministry. And really, quite frankly, I didn't know what I needed a Master's of Divinity for. I mean, I could work with women without that. But now it's all coming clear to me why those two things needed to merge. Of course, I could work with women as a psychologist, but now I can specialize in working with women and other folks in this area. So for me, the change is really about expanding my current practice, Sacred Intelligence, and I see myself really doing this on a bigger scale now. I actually am leaving this particular church because I travel back and forth from Connecticut to New York, and so it was a bit much. But I feel that God is really calling me to something bigger. And I see that there's such a need to work with people around their spirituality and their relationship with the sacred. So some of it is still unfolding for me, but I'm looking into doing specialized programs with folks, not just one-to-one therapy for 2 or 3 years as I do with folks, but if you were to come and work with me doing an accelerated program with you where we're tapping into your relationship with the sacred, yourself, and with other people. Now, the thing about working with yourself, you got to dig deep and you've got to pull out stuff in there really quick. I don't have a year for you to wait and tell me about something traumatic that happened in your life. I got to dig deep and get it as soon as we start working, and then figure out how is that shaping your life? How is that impacting your ability to make good decisions? Why do you keep going into circles and you don't know what's happening with you? There are also people out here who make really, really good money and find that they're just unhappy. Mm-hmm. Those are my clients, because then I kind of help them say, well, what's going on? You know, what's your relationship with the sacred? Why aren't you happy? You've got to be happy with yourself before you can even be happy with anybody else. And it impacts your relationships with your business, you know, on the job. So when Lesley gets those people who are, you know, all over the place, what else is going on for them? Something's going on.
And you know, everything is about relationships.
It is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I know back in the 80s, when I had an ad agency, and I started talking about relationship marketing. People were looking at me and they were saying, what you talking about? I say, everything's about relationships. You know, and they said, what? And it took 20, 30 years before all of a sudden there's this term, this buzz term out there in the advertising agency and marketing world called relationship marketing. I went, oh, that sounds familiar. Good heavens, it's about time.
Right.
Because as you say, everything, well, it all starts here, okay?
That's right.
And it starts here, and here's your business, here's your family, here's your friends, here's the world, here's the universe. How your relationship works has to start here with everything else.
It does, because if you're not happy and complete, when you go to work or when you're at home, you better believe somebody is catching something.
Yeah.
Probably hell, based on the way. I mean, but really, if you're not happy, it comes out. And I've worked with people who they do everything they can to put on that happy face, and as soon as they get in their cars, they're miserable. They hate their jobs, and they can be making boohoo bucks, but they're just not happy. Something's missing.
And when they get home, guess what? If mama, grandma, wife is crabby and unhappy, everybody is.
That's right.
Because we are the core of family.
That's right.
So, okay, change. Now you yourself have been working with a coach.
Yes, that was my big change this year. It was definitely a stretch for me as far as my inward ability and belief in myself. It was a stretch monetarily, and every time I work with her, she's always saying, okay, what are your goals? How are we going to stretch beyond that? So it's never just where I say, oh, I'm going here, and she says, no, you're not. You're going beyond that. We're always setting the sights further. So it's a constant stretch, which means that you get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
And everything is changing all the time. So by being comfortable with that discomfort, when something doesn't quite go the way you had hoped or planned, it doesn't throw you into a tizzy. You're able to just say, okay, where do I need to readjust or change tracks so that I'm still going forward, but maybe the forward is not a straight route, it's going to be turned a little bit to the side. But she definitely keeps me stretched.
But what I like about that is, again, if we're talking about relationships, what I like is that you have a wise counsel. You know, you're surrounding yourself with a person that you can trust, first of all, who knows where you need to go, but you have someone who says, listen, this is what you need to do. Because we have to be careful in our relationships. You can't go to just any and everybody. You have to make sure that your business coach is the right person for you, or your therapist is the right person for you, because they may not match up with you.
Absolutely.
And so when you have someone who can push you and then trust that they are pushing you in the right place, they're also helping you to work on your selfish relationship, which is what I call it whenever we work on ourselves. Because Lesley said, I'm being pushed beyond what I would normally be pushed from. And then when she is pushed, she pushes her client after that as well. So
is that true?
That is so very true. So but you see how it's all circular, right? You know, Lesley is pushed. I imagine your coach. As a matter of fact, I know that your coach is pushed. She's not my coach, but I'm on her email list. And so she sent out something to say that she has her own mastermind group where she's being pushed to the next level, because we always need to grow, and that's what the change is really about. But you've got to be willing to make a change. I hear people making excuses all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But then you're just going to stay where you are. You're never going to expand and grow, and you're certainly not going to get anywhere.
That's
you
right,
know, if you're just sitting in your excuses.
Yeah, I always find that is to try to get people to look past the problem to the possibilities. You know, it's not really about what the problems are, but what's on the other side of that is where you got to get people to. But that's some tough work.
And you know, it's even in my work. When I'm setting up a meeting with someone, I say, I'm looking forward to investigating the possibilities.
Yes,
I like that.
Because I'm meeting somebody, even if I know that person, you know, in Women's Network or eWomen's Network, it's different when we sit down and and this is a person that thinks they need my help. And I'm there to find out if I'm the one to help them or not. And I have a tendency to be very honest. And don't laugh.
Well, I hope you're honest.
Oh, God, yes, I am. A little bit too much sometimes. But hey, you know, you can't move forward unless you're honest with yourself and with the other person.
Right.
But I like to walk in with an open mind. And sometimes I have to sit and listen. And then sometimes I might have to get out a whip. You know, right there in the first meeting. And nobody leaves the first meeting with me without a list of homework, because it's their business. They have to take ownership of it. And they need to do things. And I'm not going to meet with them again unless they've done their homework. I mean, I have homework too. I mean, yes. But I like that possibilities. You know, that's that positive, forward approach. And
but I think Marilyn, that's the great thing about working with people with accelerated programs. You know, if you're going out to work with them and you say, I'm not going to meet with you again until you do your homework, that's significant, because as a therapist, if I'm meeting with people weekly, I can tell them to do their homework and they can come in 8 weeks later and they haven't done their homework. But if you're working with me short term in one of my programs, you're going to do the homework, because if you don't do the homework, there won't be the follow-up, because if you don't do your homework, ultimately it makes me look bad, right? Because you'll say, well, you didn't help me. Did you do what I asked you to do?
It comes down to helping yourself.
That's exactly right.
Absolutely.
I can give you the tools, but you're the one that has to do the work. So I'm glad that you say, if you didn't do it, don't even bother meeting with me.
Let's take a few minutes here and talk about books, okay? You know, there's a conception out there that, oh, if you're a real expert at something, you should write a book, or you have to, okay, you got to have a book, or don't talk to me, right? Some people are that way. So, and people are telling me I need to write a book. Well, maybe one of these days, yes, when I have the time, okay? Right now I'm busy not just doing stuff, I'm busy doing good constructive work. So now I have a book on my shelf that you had written, but that was a while ago, so things have changed.
Yes, it was written actually very quickly. It was just something that kind of came out of me. And it's called Compass Point, Finding and Keeping Your Life Direction. And it really takes a look at the different areas of your life, relationships, finances, education, career, fun, contribution. And it gives people different worksheets and all to go through and determine what they want in each of these areas. So it's like building a big life plan. When I started to work with my coach, and we determined that the best thing for me to do is to use the years of experience and my natural tendencies to systemize and all, which really even the book is a system too. I use that now as a supporting document to the other work that I do. So having the book, yes, it's there, but right now it's not my primary focus. It's there as a gift and a bonus, so to speak, to the other work that I'm doing.
And you do have an ebook.
I do have.
That's available on
I
your
have a
website.
few different ebooks, and I am getting ready. The beginning of the year, I will be launching a program where people anywhere can download the information to start their systems in their offices, and also have some coaching with me via telephone or Skype, so I won't have to physically be there to meet with people now too.
So you can help people all over that
All
way,
over the place, right.
which is a wonderful thing.
Yes. The
And
more
you-
the merrier.
Technology is
Yes.
great.
Yeah, it's made a big
Yes.
difference.
Now how about you?
Well, my book will hopefully be out by December. It's been a really, really long process, and it has changed over time, because I first started thinking about a book in 2007, and then I went to Yale, and there was no time to finish writing the book. But it has evolved over time, and again, Lesley.
Somebody cracking a whip.
You know, we were kind of talking about just what to do, how it should be shaped, and Lesley said, listen, you already have it in your computer somewhere. The book is there, all the stuff that you've written. And, you know, I kind of went back and forth with what to do. And I had another colleague to say to me, if I were you, you write a sermon every week. There's your book. So what I've done, the book is called Sacred Intelligence. The
Surprise.
essence, right? the essence of sacred, selfish, and shared relationships. So really what I have done, and the book again is for anybody, not just people who are from the Christian faith. I will say that I began each section telling a story that's based on the Christian tradition, because it's what I know. So I'm not going to go out here and write about something that I don't know. So I use the story, and then what I do is I take it and have you to, so for instance, I'll give you an example. I have a chapter called The Side Effects of Fear. What I did was took the story of Peter walking on water, and then I looked at what happened when Peter started doubting himself and started to sink. And I equated that with what happens to us in life. How things are going fine, we're walking on water, and all of a sudden we look around at the chaos and we fall. So what I've done with the book is I take stories like that and have you to examine your own life with what's going on with you, have questions at the end for you to answer. It's work. It's, you know, it's not just, oh, this is some little fun book for you to read, but it really is about helping you do the work that you need to do to heal from wounds. But I first start, of course, by helping you to think about your relationship with the sacred. And then the second part is about you examining your own stuff. And the third part is about your relationships with other folks. So I'm really excited about it. I'm happy about it. I'm going to have some book signings hopefully soon, and do some speaking engagements so that people will hear all about it, and then come and find me and do some work with me. So I'm really super excited.
Wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
It's time to get ready to finish up our show, and I want to thank you both so much for coming on the show. And you can learn more about each one of these two wonderful ladies by going to their website. Lesley's is clearpathways.com, and there it is, pathway.com. And Terrlyn's is, guess what? Sacred Intelligence! If you didn't know what it was before, now you know. I think they've got it now, right?
Yes.
If you don't, you haven't been listening. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
So much fun. Thank you.
As usual, the last few minutes of the show, I like to make announcements of upcoming events. But if you know somebody that you think should be on the show, please send me an email, and it's right there, fromthiscornertv@gmail.com. Remember to go and like our Facebook page, please. And if you want to see some of our other shows that are all up on YouTube, you can access them very easily by going to our website, okay? So, coming up, we have on Sunday, November the 2nd, and I mentioned this last time, will be the Well-Heeled Woman. I'm going to be there. Are you going to go?
I'm thinking about it.
Thinking about it. Well, Suze Orman is going to be on it. So this dynamic conference, every year they have a dynamic speaker, and it's very, very interesting. It's presented by L&M Hospital. If you want to register, you can email mpaulino@lmhospital.org, and there it is right there. The next event is Dinner in the Dark on November 15th for Sophia Sees Hope. And that's the website right there. They're looking for a cure for blindness. So go check out the website, and it will have more information about that event. Then the Friends of Colombe is having a fundraising event on Saturday, November the 8th in the evening. And fun and games and setback and pitch tournament, and I'll tell you, I'm on the board there, and we were wrapping the the baskets for the silent auction, and they're so nice. I'm going to be in Japan while they have their event, which I'm kind of like, I wish I could be there, because they have this wonderful dog one. They have this wonderful ski trip for a week. Then there's also a trip to a condo out in Colorado for a week. And I mean, they've got more. It's really, if you wanted to learn more about it, you can go to that long Facebook page right there. I haven't had a chance to get one of those short versions. So, so go check it out, and it'll be a wonderful event. It really will. So that's pretty much it for tonight. I thank you all for joining us. And we've got another good show coming up next time, and it's going to be great as always. So please come back, join us again, and for now, have a great evening. Bye-bye.